The amazing funeral and incorrupt body of servant of God Luisa Piccareta. As she appears in the pictures taken at that time, the dead body of Luisa is sitting on a little bed, just as when she was alive. Nor was it possible to stretch it out through the strength of various people. She remained in that position, so a special casket had to be built. Her body was not subject to the rigor mortis typical of all human bodies after death. This was noticed each day she was exposed to the eyes of the people of Corrado and to those of many foreigners who came to Corrado for the purpose of seeing and touching with their own hands this unique and marvelous case. All were able, with no effort, to move the head to all sides, raise her arms and bend them, bend her hands and all the fingers. Even the eyelids could be lifted and her bright eyes, which were not veiled, could be observed. Luisa seemed to be alive, as though sleeping, while a group of doctors convened for the purpose after a careful examination of her body, declared that Luisa was actually dead, and therefore it was to be considered a true death and not an apparent death as many had imagined. Because of the unending crowd that thronged around the saint, as she was then often called, the civil authority was forced to keep her on her little deathbed for 4 full days. To the surprise of physicians and also the city health officer, there was no sign of corruption even to the end of the 4th day. Notably in death, Luisa remained seated, as she had always lived, and sitting, she was to go to the cemetery in a casket which was built for the purpose, with the sides and the front of glass, so that all might see her, just as a queen on her throne, clothed in white, with the fiat on her breast, the little daughter of the divine will, whom the Lord wanted to remove from her silence and humility only at her death. More than 40 priests, the Capitello, the ecclesiastical authorities, and the local clergy were present, many religious sisters, who brought her on their shoulders in turn, and an immense crowd of citizens. The streets along which the procession was to pass were packed. Incredibly, even the balconies and the roofs of the houses were crammed with people, and the procession proceeded with great difficulty. The funeral was celebrated in the Matrice Church by the many religious present. Father Benedetto described the funeral as a veritable triumph. After the funeral mass, all the people of Corrado followed the body of Luisa to the cemetery, and everyone tried to bring home a souvenir of the flowers which had accompanied and touched the body. A few years later, the body of Luisa was transferred to her parish church of Santa Maria Greca and placed in a special niche to the right of the central nave, where she lies today, humbly waiting for the glorification of the church.